Hello and welcome to Chilean Nintendo Gamer. How are you guys doing? It's been a while. So I've got some explaining to do here. Even though I haven't used this channel in a while, I still notice that people follow the content and commented on many of the videos, and many of them were actually asking, for example, what happened to the PS2 and the GameCube? Remember this secondary channel, one of the many I have, was completely, or was supposed to be completely focused on retro gaming. The problem is, and I remember commenting on that at some point on one of the videos of this channel, where do I place the PS2 and the GameCube? Because we have this channel for retro gaming, and I created other secondary channels. One of them was dedicated to modern gaming. That is to say, well, everything from the 360, Wii, and PS3 generation onwards. But at the same time, I didn't consider the PS2 or the GameCube generation as retro gaming. And even so, I put up Game Boy Advance content, which is pretty much the same from the same time. It's not technically retro, but still put up Game Boy Advance content. So it was difficult to set the boundary between what's a retro game and what is not a retro game. And I received that in the comments plenty. So because of that, and also because of I have a necessity to take a new path and to bring fresh new content, so to speak, right? Because my content as a whole is basically the same all the time. Maybe the approach could be a little bit different, the background, the context could be different. But in essence, I do the exact same thing. I've been doing the exact same thing for almost 10 years. The thing is, I'm rebranding this channel. I'm not going to focus it on quote-unquote retro games as such. So I don't have this chronological struggle between, you know, trying to separate what's a retro game from what is not a retro game, and so on. So I decided to call this Chilean Nintendo Gamer. This channel is going to focus only, from now on Nintendo console gaming. Not necessarily Nintendo games, not first-party Nintendo games necessarily. Okay, I'm getting that right off the spot so you guys have it clear. Excuse me. This is all about Nintendo consoles and handhelds, from a Game & Watch to the Switch, ideally. I don't have a Switch, unfortunately. There are two systems that I do not have, which are the 3DS and the Switch. I mean, everything else, either I own it or I can emulate it without a problem. So you will see me play from the Game & Watch, NES, the Famicom, the Japanese versions, Famicom, and the Famicom Disk System, Super Nintendo, Super Famicom, Nintendo 64, GameCube, Wii, and Wii U. At least I own those last two consoles I mentioned. Of course, all the portables, the Game & Watch, the Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and Nintendo DS. Remember, I don't have a 3DS. It is not possible to emulate either, so I will have to pass on that for the time being. But we have enough content to choose games from, trust me. So I'll be doing a pre-recorded version to this and a live version to this. And there will be different systems or methods to choose games. It is not going to be necessarily something that I feel like playing and I'll play right away. There will be methods and systems in which probably you guys will be part of. But since experience has taught me that I cannot really rely on my viewers' opinion to do something, I'm going to start this thing on my own for the time being. What I'm going to do, basically, is to play one game per every system that it is possible to play for the moment. Ideally in a chronological order. So maybe I'll start with something for the Game & Watch. Then I'll be moving to the NES, the Famicom disk system, sorry. Could be one of the three. I mean, there are three. The three of them are considered like NES 8-bit, but they are not the exact same console. But at the same time, I don't think it's a great idea to do one playthrough separately for each individual version of the NES. Maybe I'll be choosing one for the NES and one for the Famicom, or one for the NES and one for the disk system. I don't know. It all depends. But I'll be doing one game per system for now. One for the NES, one Famicom exclusive, one for the disk system. Shit, I cannot even say disk system anymore. One for the Super NES, one for the N64, one for the GameCube, one for the Wii, and one for the Wii U. And same thing goes with for the portables. One for the Game Boy, one for the Game Boy Color, one for the Game Boy Advance, and one for the Nintendo DS. It will take a while, yes, but it will be just a personal choice. And after I'm done with one game per console, just then I'll be putting up nominations out of, I don't know, randomizers, random number generators, or requests from people. Well, all of those will be nominated after every playthrough. Ideally 2 per console, and those will be put on a wheel that I will be spinning, and we will be selecting games from the wheel. So as I progress through the playthroughs per each system, I will be putting up nominations that will go onto the wheel that will be later used for selecting games. It sounds very confusing at first. Probably you didn't understand anything of what I said. But I will make it more clear as we progress. But for the time being, the only thing that you need to know is that this channel is going to be rebranded as Chilean Nintendo Gamer, where only I'm going to be playing Nintendo consoles and arcades as well. There are not too many Nintendo arcades, but I'm still going to focus on those. All of the consoles and all of the portables, at least the ones I have access to. At some point, of course, I will be able to buy a Switch, and I'll be able to buy a 3DS. I don't know if capture cards for the 3DS are still a thing. They're still selling them or not. If they are, cool. If they're not, well, too bad. But I guess we have enough material to choose games from. Also enough systems, I mean. So again, for the time being, I'm just going to be playing one game per console in chronological order, ideally. That's the idea. Again, one for the NES, one for Game Boy, one for Super Nintendo, one for Nintendo 64, one for Game Boy Color. Pretty much the order in which those consoles/systems were released. The idea is to get to the Wii U. Again, one game per console, and then we're going to be using all of the games that were randomly selected per console and spinning a wheel so we can select games at random every time. That's the idea. Of course, there will be sometimes time for requests from people, and also there will be time for personal picks. So not all in the world of Nintendo will be randomized. Again, this is the last thing I want to comment. There will be a pre-recorded version that will have its own sets or its own set of playthroughs, and at the same time there will be a live version to this that will have also its own set of playthroughs and wheels and generators and everything. It will be like a parallel show based on the exact same thing, basically, Nintendo consoles and arcades. Again, probably what my explanation was not very clear, but you will have it more clear as we progress. So next time, we are going to start with the first playthrough/gameplay, it doesn't have to be full games necessarily, of the new show or the new channel here, Chilean Nintendo Gamer. So you guys are going to have fun. What about the other 3 secondary channels that I created back in 2009? I think one of them will also be rebranded. The one that used to be for modern consoles will be dedicated to Sony consoles, pretty much in the same spirit as this one, but only focusing on PS1, PS2, PS3, PSP, PS4, of course, in the near future. And the other 2 channels probably will be intact. I'm not going to touch them because they are focused on computer gaming and ROM hacks. I think they also need their own space for full dedication. But as in for retro and modern gaming, I decided to rebrand them as Nintendo and Sony gaming in general. That will also cover the classic and modern, which is probably a good idea at this point. So thanks a lot for watching, and stay tuned for more material. Actually, this show will be aired like non-stop from September through December, and every week pretty much you will see material in here. So stay tuned. Thank you very much for watching. See you later.